And here we go. Hey everybody, it's Patrice, Sandstrom, and Erin Wheelock, and today we are at Fortissimo. So thank you, Rodolphe, for hosting us. Thank you, Natalie. And we are so excited because today is all about the database. So we have been building up, learning different skills and talking about our referral business and lead accelerator. And today we put it all together. So Erin Wheelock, who loves and lives the database and runs her business this way, is going to teach us the best way using the MREA tools to run a database business. Now, again, I always say we are in France and we are speaking English. So we will have some great French translators here that will pause. And so thanks for joining us today. And Erin, take it over.
Yes. Bonjour, or maybe bonsoir. I don't know what time it is there. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for joining. 5. Okay. Bonjour. Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining. If you do end up hearing any distractions in the background, it's just my music that keeps me jamming. So let me know. I'll turn it off. Okay, as Patrice said, the database is something I'm extremely passionate about, and I cannot wait to share with you what I do and put up a hand, do something to get me to stop if it's something that should be translated or if I'm just speaking too fast. Because like Patrice, this stuff makes me very excited and sometimes I can just go on. So just have me stop. All right, so Patrice is gonna let me share my screen and then I'm gonna get started. And as she said, really interactive. If you guys have questions, please let me know. If you have things that you've done a little bit differently, please share. And I'm ready to get started. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So making the most of your database. I joined Keller Williams, New York City about 6.5 years ago. And I had been in real estate for a few years beforehand. And I think probably like everyone across the entire globe does, I was like, this doesn't work here. My first week I got into Ignite. And the second class, as many of you might know, is the database class. And I took the class, and at the end of the class, I turned to a guy's name is Matt, and we were partners at the time. And I was like, I feel like we just have to do this. We just have to do everything that this just taught us. I believe that this will work now. I don't know. And prior to real estate, I did tech for a little bit. I was extremely lucky that my boss, by the way, this is when nobody knew what cloud computing was. And I was trying to sell cloud computing. People are like, the cloud, that'll never catch on. Anyways, so my boss was really good though about teaching me what a database was and how to use it so that we could stay in touch with people, follow up, etc. So I had a database prior to KW, but it was full of thousands and thousands of people. I just hooked it up to my email and I didn't have systems or models or anything, but I just knew put in tasks and you'll be good. So when we took the database class, what we decided to do is download everyone and completely wipe the database so that we could start over, which was probably one of the scariest things ever and one of the best things that I have ever done for my business, because then it made it so that I contacted everybody in order to let them in the database, if you will. So I know that the people in my database want to be in my database. They all have touch campaigns set up to them, and they all have tasks if they don't have the automatic campaigns. And now it's running really efficiently. And I'll get into some more fun stories as we go. Oh, look at that. I drew on this somehow. So that's cool.
And you guys, when you're just getting started, and especially those of you doing the lead accelerator, so Erin runs a very efficient database right now. So like she said, she is in relationship with everyone now. It is okay to give yourself permission to have new people added in that you're building a relationship. So she has created what we all want. So, and it's okay to keep adding more people and getting into those relationships. Would you agree, Erin?
Yes. And I will say I'm still working at this every day. I want to give you an example of someone, and I don't want to give too much away about Red Talks or talk about it too much, but I really hope to have him on one day. His name is Len Schwartz. He's also a huge inspiration for me. He is an agent in Greenwich, Connecticut. That man has a database of 500 people and he does over 50 million a year, easy, every year. He just works those 500 people. That's it. It's him and one buyer's agent. They're in constant communication, and I think an admin as well. They're in communication. They run the system. So this stuff really works. Okay. All right. So what is a database? I love participation. Who wants to answer that for me? I'm like, I don't see all the
database. Database is your wallet.
Yes, database, your data bank. I love it. Absolutely. So the database is really what I like to call your wallet, of course, but also my brain, because I don't know about you, but I don't remember what I ate like for lunch on Monday. So to be able to stay or remember the conversations that you've had with thousands of people quarterly, or what their email said, or what they said on an appointment, if you can do that, I will bow to you. But for me, the database is a place that stores everything that I need to know about a client. And it stores it in a way that it's easy and efficient. So the next time I call someone, I know, what their pets' names are. I know when their birthdays are. I know when they got married, all of these details. I know what I told them in a consultation a year ago their home was worth, right? This is all really important stuff. And the database allows us to store all of it in one spot so we don't have to remember anything. It's very nice. Okay, how to build a database. So we build a database a few different ways. We can build a database through cold calling, which is really how I developed, or how I built my database to start with. Now I don't really do a lot of cold calling just because we're at about 2,500 people. I want to make sure that it stays manageable, but cold calling is a great way. I'm not sure if you can do that in France. Open houses, and we're going to go over that. So open houses, and I know it's newer for you guys, but the whole point with your database is really to make sure that you're getting everybody's information. Sorry, I'm just going to stop the music because now I'm just wanting to dance too much. Okay. So really what you want to do is you want to be able to get everybody's information so that they can become a MET. Is anybody familiar with the difference between METs and not METs? And you'll have to unmute yourself because I can't really see anyone. I'm just talking to the great unknown over here.
No, me, I'm not familiar with this.
Okay, so thank you, Eric. So a MET is someone that you have what we consider their full contact information. So that means we have their name, their phone number, we have their address, and then we also have, now we say that we have some form of social media. So that could be their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their Instagram, which I cannot stress to you how powerful it is. This is actually something I realized more recently. I was like, no, I want my personal life to be personal. But the truth is, if these people see you doing work, it's just like an added touch that you don't have to think about. So MET is when you have their full contact information, right? Their name, their phone number, their email address, and then one form of social media. And if it's an unmet, it just means that we're missing one of those things, right? Okay. So uh-oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So what we want to do with the database is get everybody to become a complete MET. One of the best ways to do this for me was through open houses. Open houses to me are an extremely powerful tool to get people's information. And how do I do that? Well, the first thing is when we hold open houses, and I know that some of you do this, I highly suggest you do it. And even during COVID, at least here in New York City, we have to do it by appointment only, but you can still do the same thing. So when people come to the open houses, I'm asking them on my tablet, what's your name? What is the best number for me to follow up with you? What is the best email address for me to follow up with you? I know, at least in the States, the normal thing to do is to take a piece of paper, set it on a counter somewhere with a pen next to it, and tell people, okay, great, can you sign in? half the people don't sign in. A fourth of the other people actually give you somewhat accurate information. And then another fourth end up leaving like really funny emails that I can't repeat because they don't want you to be in touch with them, right? But if you actually ask them, they're so much more likely to give you their accurate information. Also with open houses, we would call or send mailers to a building or a neighborhood. And right now we just legally can't do it here. So make sure that you can legally do that there or wherever you are at. I know not everyone here is from France. And we invite them to the open house. We let them know, hello, Mr. Homeowner, my name is Erin Wheelock. I'm from Keller Williams, and we have a new listing at 123 Main Street. We will be holding an open house on X day, and we would love for you to come and attend. And now, because of that, we end up getting a lot of what I like to call our nosy Nancy's. And they are my favorite people ever because the nosy neighbors know everything. They always end up giving you the inside scoop. So the nosy neighbors are my favorite. Bring all the nosy neighbors. Now, one thing to know about these nosy neighbors is they don't like giving out their information, and that's okay. So they'll walk in and you'll say, I just want to register you for this, blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, I'm just taking a look around. I live close by. No problem. So after they take a look around, and I will admit this, I do this for every person that comes in without an agent. I let them know, hey, I'm actually doing a raffle for an Amazon gift card. Instantly. It could be like $10 and everybody will give you all of their information for a chance to win a gift card. It's insane. So I tell them that they have to complete.
I love winning, by the way. I will do anything. I will apply for a credit card I don't need for a free t-shirt that I will throw in the garbage because I feel like I have to do it. So sorry to interrupt.
I love it. No, see, proof. I love that. So you have them fill out their name, of course, their email, their phone number, and their address. So this is a great thing to build the database, but it's also a great thing for lead generation because every single person that fills that out that does not have an agent wins. So now I have a reason to call them. So, I'll call so-and-so, and then I get to say, I'm actually going to be in your neighborhood. I'm going to come drop it off. So then you
Did you guys get that? So she's calling it a raffle to get their information, but everybody wins. She gives everybody a prize so that they believe that they are special, which of course they are to her, right? So this gives her an opportunity to take her relationship to the next level by giving this gift. Does that make sense? I think it's just a nice clapper. I'm going to give you a reaction for that one.
Thank you, Patrice. It's also, yes, and it's also a great form of lead gen, right? Because I call them, they won, and now I'm going to come drop it off because I'm in their neighborhood, probably wasn't. And then when I get there to drop it off, I'm going to say, you know what, while I'm here, when is the last time you had a free home evaluation? And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're here. Why don't you come inside? Right? They don't always say that. Some people are like, oh no, that's okay. But a lot of times people will invite me in and they're like, yeah, since you are here, why don't you tell us what you think our home is worth? And we'll have a whole conversation. By the end of it, I'm giving them a range, never pick a price, right? I'm not the buyer, but I'll give them a range. And then I'll learn what their goals are. So I know now how often I should stay in touch with them, if they really are a potential, seller in the near future. And I also will know what their goals are for when they should sell. So I'll know when I should be in touch with them in the future. And then I'll take all this information and I'll put tags to them, which we're going to get into later. But that is just something very important that I think everybody should remember. So building your database through those open houses, collecting that information. If they won't let you give it, or if they won't let you take it, you do it through a raffle. And again, it can just be like a $10 gift card. It could probably be a $5 gift card. People just want to win. Your phone. I'm not sure if you know this, but there's a lot of people on these things that we carry around. So the first thing that I do when someone joins my team is I have them start calling 10 people a day minimum in their phone.
I hope my team is paying attention to this. Write it down, people. This is a writer-downer.
I love it. Because, you just have so many people in your phone. I had I still have, this group of amazing friends that I get together with, and this is not a joke. This is reality, and I want everybody to pay attention to this. I have a very good group of friends. I probably get together with them once a week, if not twice a week, for dinner or just drinks, get together. We all live close to each other. I'm a real estate professional, so I don't ever need to tell my friends that I'm in real estate, right? Because they just know this about me. Wrong. I went to my friend Jane's house one night. She was renting, and I was over there with everyone. We were just like sitting around eating and drinking, and all of a sudden I saw that she was on StreetEasy, which is our #1 search engine for real estate. And I was like, Jane, what are you doing? She's like, oh, honey, I'm buying a house. She's British. If you couldn't tell by my fabulous, I'm sure, accent. And I was like, you're buying a house? Like, did you want to talk to me about it? And then she's like, oh yeah, darling, you're in real estate. Your friends don't know, because we don't talk to them about business, because we don't want to be salespeople with our friends. And these people can be our biggest advocates. So do not make that mistake. Always be in touch with all of your friends. And I'll tell you a second way to make it fun to be in touch with your friends about real estate and make contacts out of them. So now, whenever I get together with friends, or whenever friends come over, I'll like bring a couple bottles of wine, or if we're out to eat, I'll like buy a round or something, or I'll even just pay for myself. And I'm like, wait, everyone stop. And I'll ask everyone, who do you know that is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate within the next 3 to 6 months right now? And then I just shut up. And you can tell that they're thinking about it a little bit. And then I say, okay, great, thank you. Now I'm going to tax deduct this. And ha. But the truth is, it's a great way to remind people that I'm in real estate, and we have a good laugh about it. But since I started doing that with my friends, I definitely get more referrals, because the truth is, I don't really think about what my friends do every day when I'm out and about. So why should they be thinking about what I do unless I actually bring it up, right?
Now, I love this, Erin. I think it's really great. So we've made some good points, and I would love for someone to do a little translating to make sure everyone is getting it, right? So number one, it's like to be very purposeful when you're talking with clients to gather their information. Number two, use your phone. I have like 3,000 people in here that are definitely not in my database. So create that. You already obviously know them enough to save their number. And then number three is really be purposeful about your friendships and moving to that next level. So Rodolphe, do you or Adelaide, was somebody or whoever wants to translate for us? Rodolphe, do you want Adelaide to do it, to share that?
Yes, Patrice.
Adelaide, will you share what those things that Erin just said so that we can make sure everyone knows?
En fait, déjà, est-ce que vous avez besoin d'une traduction? Peut-être commencer par là.
Moi, non, mais j'ai besoin d'un traducteur. J'ai une question à poser.
Ouais.
Mais c'est pas trop fouillis dans le téléphone.
Non, vas-y. Non, c'est parfait.
Tu m'entends, Rodolphe? Ouais,
je t'entends, vas-y.
Ouais, j'ai peur que si on enregistre tout directement dans le téléphone, on se retrouve avec un bordel monstrueux dans nos contacts.
Alors, en fait, ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que, alors moi, je l'ai déjà mis en place, mais je pense que Erin l'a déjà mis en place, mais quand vous enregistrez des gens dans vos contacts, dans votre téléphone, et que vous avez relié votre téléphone au contact Google, et Google à Comment, tu vas avoir tous tes clients, tous les gens que tu vas enregistrer dans ton téléphone. Je passe limite presque plus par MyKW ou par Comment, sauf pour qualifier les clients. Mais tous les gens que je mets dans mon téléphone, maintenant, rentrent dans ma base de données automatiquement en import contact. Donc après, je les qualifie un peu après. Donc ça, c'est un truc qui va se faire. Vous pouvez déjà le faire en connectant votre téléphone à vos Google Contact et Google Contact à Comment, donc il n'y a pas de problème. What I said, Erin, is He was asking why if it's a big mess to put all your contact in your phone. But what I've already done with my contact is to link my phone with the Google contact, and then the Google contact with command. So everybody is in my phone is in my database a few minutes later.
Yeah, so I think that's good. However, you just want to make sure, or at least I should say, I found the best way to do it though, is to contact the people before putting them in your database, because what you don't want to have happen is for everybody to be lost. So that would work really well, I think, if you end up giving everybody a specific tag that you bring in, because then you can go through that group, you know, in your own time, or you automatically set them up on a smart campaign so that they'll be dripped on either by mass text messages or perhaps by mass email, but something so that they're also contacted, because that was my mistake when I had the first database, is everyone from my email automatically went in. So I mean, I had no idea who half those people were, because they just were an inquiry about a property, and I never stayed in touch with a lot of them because they were just kind of in there. So just making sure that those people you're putting in, there's at least some sort of an action plan with them.
Yeah, but what I have to do anyway with that is to double check in my database and then tag them in the 2 days after I just entering it, because
yeah,
if you're not doing this, you just forget. So
yeah. And Chris, yes. So I actually don't ask them for their social media. I just search for them. On Facebook, you can search by their email or their phone number, or if you've met them and you know what they look like, then you can obviously just search their name and find them. So that's really what I do, is I search them on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on Facebook. I must admit, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know anything about that platform. But the other three, I actually just search them and I'll add them. And I think it's a great way to learn birthdays if you don't have their birthday. B, it's a really I think we feel it's invasive to reach out to somebody on social media. However, at the end of the day, people will work with people they like. And what if by adding people on social media, you were able to find a plethora of things that you have in I can't think of the word, in common with each other. And then they start to like you more. Maybe you become social media friends, and then they'll, you know, have an easier time referring you. I like to say it's how I find my people, right? If I go on their social media and they have great stuff. Yeah.
And I just wanted to say the other thing is, if you know, you can at least broach that conversation. If they seem uncomfortable, then say, pull out your phone and follow me, right? So you can also, it's a great way for them to follow you, and you get more exposure as well. So, and then once they follow you, you kind of have them anyway. But so I love that question, because I think I'm more open to giving out my Instagram than my phone number, to be quite honest. Like, no one's bothered me yet on Instagram, and I can block someone easily. But boy, they bother me when they call me 700 times, right? That feels more invasive to me. So I love that question, Chris. I think it's a great point.
The reason I've asked that question, excuse me, the reason I asked that question is because since
maybe you speak through Rodolphe's phone. Wait, Rodolphe, you're muted.
yes,
you can hear me okay?
yeah.
Yes.
Cool. The reason I asked that question is because since I've been with Keller Williams, I've been doing a lot more communication via LinkedIn and Instagram, and obviously since you've been doing these Facebook campaigns, we've been getting involved. So I did my first Facebook campaign a couple of days ago. First contact, very good. Second contact, I haven't been able to get through to them. But the reason I asked that is because somebody said to me they thought it was a little bit, not pretentious, but a little bit perhaps too invasive to be asking them for their LinkedIn details or an Instagram details. But I agree with what you say. People will work with people they like. So I think it's just a bit of a limitation on my part to not be asking them for this information.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's such a good point. And I once had a client tell me that it was, and I was representing the seller, they didn't have a buyer's agent. And I asked them for a proof of funds because they were a cash purchase. And they told me that that was invasive. And I said, I don't know if you can afford it. So people will always, someone will always have a complaint about it. So keep doing what you're doing.
I agree. And I think it's a really great question. I think most of the stuff we're doing, right, is invasive, you guys. I mean, surprise, we are invading their space so that we can be their professional. And I think that we just need to, and Chris, I'm saying this because I'm talking to myself too. We need to just drop it and realize that that's just it. You're offering a value and you're doing this for a really good reason. If they're upset by it, that's about them. It's not about you. And then you just move on to the next person. Mm-hmm. So I think we've all had that same fear, and I think we've all had an uncomfortable client, and we'll have more of those. But there's going to be so many other that are going to be so good, right?
Yeah. All right. So now that we're talking about social media, thank you for this segue, Chris. So social media, it is another great way to build your database. You know, people that you are meeting on there, getting their contact information and moving them into the database, especially, you know, referral agents. I feel like I meet them on social media oftentimes before something else. So that's important. And agents you meet, you know, profit share, global share, all of that. How long did it take you to go through your phone, contacts, and enter them into the database? Oh my, I'm actually honestly still not done. Like that is my, going through my phone is my, okay, you've hit all of your tasks for the day. Your pipeline has been contacted. Now you can reach out to them. So it's not something that I did first. So it's something that I'm still working on, slowly incorporating, but that's a great question. Usually a new agent though, they can hit between, when they're brand new, they tend to be very timid, and they will get between 5 and 10 a day. But then I work them up to 20 contacts a day. So it really just depends on how many contacts they have on their phone. Agents you meet, growth share is wonderful. So I just always think the agents that you meet out on the field that you like, there's 2 reasons you put them into the database. Number 1 is for the potential to bring them to KW if they're not KW. And the second thing is that there are some agents that I love to do business with, absolutely love to do business with. They bring me clients that are qualified. They bring me beautiful board packages to review, or I know that their product is well priced. Those are the agents I want to stay in touch with so that I can be like, you know, there's a few of them that I love. I've even told sellers before, you know, this agent gave me an offer that was kind of written out, right? It was disorganized, whatever. This agent I've worked with before. I know their board packages are perfect. I really think that this agent is going to get a client approved by the board, no problem. That stuff is good, right? So working with people that we like to work with is top priority. So I think agents that you meet, because A, you can let them know about new properties because you want to work with them again. And B, if you're looking for a property for your client, if they're successful agents, you never know what they have coming in their pipeline as well. And why not work together if you can? So put all of them in there. All right, what do you do with the database? You touch it. And how do we touch our database? I show you. Okay, quarterly touches. So I never remember what this is called, D2, M2, P3, C3, I don't know, but the quarterly
DTD2.
Thank you.
It's doing the database too. So it's like kind of fun.
Well, I know how to do it. I just may not remember those 4 letters. But I follow that. So what you do is, and you'll see I tag everybody by the first letter of their last name. And they're, sorry. And every week I call 2 letters. So the first week is A and W. The second week is B and E. The third week, I believe, is D and O. So it goes through 2 letters a week, and it's from the class Never Ending Referrals. And what they did is they actually found, like, statistically, you have X amount of people with A and X amount of people with W, so they go together. So they actually use stats so that it evens it out. So that's how you make sure that you're doing quarterly touches. And I try not to use the word try. I really do intend to, it's just another word for it, call them every time, except there's some people that I've had in my database for 4 or 5 years. They just want a text from me, right? Or they'll see my name pop up on their phone and they're like, oh, Erin, I don't have anybody, goodbye. So the quarterly touches. Handwritten note cards are perfect, especially when you're adding someone to the database, even if you don't have their address. I love it. I will play dumb all the time. So handwritten note cards, I've actually sent when I would cold call people, this for anybody that would answer, whether they were happy or mad, I would send them a handwritten note card. I'll never forget a woman, her name is Victoria Schultz. She actually has a property in Paris and she needs to sell it. I'll be in touch. And she reamed me out. It was a cold call. I was letting her know that we listed something in her neighborhood and she was just not happy that I called. So I sent her and I'm sorry, a note. I was like, I'm so sorry, Victoria, I must have caught you at a bad time. You know, my deepest apologies, blah, 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 whatever. But I really did feel bad. And she called me back and she was like, I am so sorry. I was having a bad day. You called me at the wrong time. And she was like, I actually want to sell my apartment here. Would you come over? And since then, I've helped her with her apartment. She's referred me like 3 or 4 people, all from my handwritten note card. So this stuff works. Handwritten note cards are amazing.
And also, everybody should pay attention. So you received a bad response from her. Most of us would say that she's dead to me, right? Throw her in the garbage. And what you did is you changed up the situation, right? You changed the pattern and you showed her coming from contribution. You were really, right? You came at her in a different way and you actually earned her respect, right? I think that's such a valuable point, you guys, is oftentimes I think the database people are looking for a deal and looking for a sale, and that's not what you did here, right? You're building a relationship, and that was what was important, and the deals were just naturally what came from that. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you for
at some point, we'll have someone do some translations. I know you want to get through all of those, and then we'll kind of loop back, but I love that.
Yeah, and anytime that somebody needs to translate anything, please just let me know, put up a hand, or just stop me. The handwritten note cards are also great if you don't have someone's address. I know this sounds silly, but after I get off the phone with them, I'll call them. I'll set in my task to call them a week later, and I'll call them and I'll be like, oh, did you get my note card in the mail? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. I sent it to, and I'll just say some random address. And they're like, I don't live there. I'm like, how did I get this address attached to your, like something must have glitched to my system. I don't know how I have this address. What's your actual address? And then they'll give me their address. So I like that one. But I do always use it as an excuse to follow up with them. If it's our first contact, if it's our second or third contact and I'm writing them a handwritten note card, I don't do this. But after the first one, I'll call them a week later and I just say like, hey, just want to make sure the post office is still working. Did you get my note card in the mail? Ha, 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 ha. But it's great because oftentimes, and I'm sure you've noticed this in your own business or in your own life, you know, someone will ask you for something you have no, right? I haven't heard anybody. But then from that moment on, your RAS starts to go up and you start to hear people. So I oftentimes, when I call them back that week later, they'll say to me like, oh, Erin, actually, funny enough, I did hear about somebody. I'm going to reach out to them and put you guys in touch, right? And when people say that, I always say, hey, you know, most of the time people may not follow up, but I'm great at following up. So would you mind giving me their information and I will actually reach out to them. So just try to get their information. But note cards are wonderful for that. Newsletters. I do a newsletter every week. And there's 2 things that I want to touch on with three things about the newsletter. Number one, just do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. Number two, I start every newsletter with a video. So I do a little video. Hey, it's me, Erin Wheelock, your favorite real estate professional in New York City. And in this newsletter, you'll notice blah, 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 blah. We just have like 3 or 4 things. And then I post it on YouTube. So it gives me content for YouTube. I notice that people actually really like it. I get a really good response from having that video. I get an average of like 50 to 70 watches per video or per newsletter. And that's out of like 1,500 people. So it's, not insane, but that means people are actually opening it and looking at it.
I love that. And Rodolphe, you do this at a pretty high level as well.
Yeah.
You get a lot of engagement from your newsletter, correct?
Yeah. We try to send one every month because people are used to it. And most of them, I had an example like this. Someone unsubscribed, I don't know, he did a mistake. And he called me because he didn't receive it. So yeah, I asked him to subscribe one more time. So you have to, as said Erin, you have to do it. It's not a big mistake if it's not so beautiful. You can do something which is very efficient because you have the good message, but you have to do it anyway because it's a good way to keep contact each month because it's not possible to contact everybody every month, and because we have a lot of work, so it's a good way to keep contact with people.
And Rodolphe, I believe that once you told me that when someone unsubscribes, now you call them and say, "Hi, I saw that you unsubscribed, right?
Yeah.
Can you share more? Did you want to stop? Was it an accident? Please tell me more," right?
Yeah. Every time I have someone who unsubscribe, I call them to know if I bother them, if it's too much. Maybe they want another message. Maybe it's not the message they want. So that's a way to modify maybe the message I want to share with them, and to give some life and some humanity to the message.
Isn't that amazing, you guys? So he took an unsubscribe, turned it into a contact, and in some cases, they're back in his database. So this is huge. Erin, I think we should actually add his story to the class for everybody else, because isn't that amazing? Isn't that such a good point?
I actually wrote it down.
I love that. I love that.
So good. That's great.
Thank you.
The third big thing with the newsletter is my newsletter was the entire reason why I started Where to Wheelock. And it was how I started thinking more globally about all of the referrals, because in every newsletter, I feature a property from an agent somewhere else in the world. And the first time I did that, I featured a property from the south of France. And one of my clients called me up that next day and was like, "Erin, I was reading your newsletter and I saw this property in the south of France. I actually am looking to purchase something there. What does it look like to buy?" Which then meant I had to learn, which was exactly what I needed to do. So newsletters, think about newsletters as a way to take other people's content. You don't really have to do anything, and put it up there so that you're staying front of mind. The other thing with newsletters is, how many people get emails constantly from Amazon.com? Anyone else? Am I the only one? Yeah. How many of you open those emails? Not a single one. How many of you still probably maybe weekly get something from Amazon.com? So I love it, Patrice. So that just goes to show, right? It's not about people opening it. It's about them seeing your name, and them seeing your name is what makes it happen. I actually will be showing a property, maybe I shouldn't say it because this is being recorded today, to a woman. Her name is Colleen. She reached out to me and she was like, "Erin, I don't know if you remember me, but we met 5 years ago and I want to see your property." I'm like, "Yes, I don't remember you, but yes, I want to show you." But that was because she just sees my name. I don't even think she opens it, but she just sees my name.
Do you guys understand this? So Erin has turned her database into an assistant for her, into a lead generation machine. So business is literally coming back. It did take some work up front, right? And now it's paying back over and over again, so that we talk about lead generation and we're chasing down clients. Now that the tools are there, the clients are chasing her down. Can you guys understand where the power of this is? If you're continuing to do the same amount of lead generation, but now clients are actually coming back to you, it's magical. And that's where the power of, the exponential power to grow your database really comes from, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just got back from Albania, and when I was in Albania, I had somebody from my database just reach out and say, Erin, what do we need to price it at? We want to sell it now. It's like, oh, okay. I'm away traveling and just got like a come list me. So, and that's because they constantly see me and I'm in touch with them, right? I do the quarterly touches with them. And that's not the first one. I probably get at least 2 of those a week of clients that are like, oh, I'm seeing your stuff, I'm looking for this. But again, like she said, I've been building this for a long time. Now people are coming to me a lot more often. To start, I had to be the one reaching out a lot more, but okay. So smart plans are a great way to touch your database. And I know that we spoke about them previously, which is good. And remember that KW, we are so lucky that we have the whole, the whole list of smart plans from other agents that we can literally just take and edit and use them. Cause that again is like a free assistant. Events. COVID, I have not been able to really master events virtually. However, I used to always do events in person, at least 3 a year. I would rent out part of a bar. You tell someone that you have like open bar and free food for 3 hours, they're coming, number one. Number two, I also have raffles. So they all have to give me information because I asked them to bring a guest. And how do I do it? In the RSVP, which is just a Google form. I think it's like, your name. And then the second question is, who are you bringing that I should meet? Not asking them if they're bringing someone. I ask them, who are you bringing that I should meet? Sometimes people don't fill it out, but a lot of people will bring someone. So that's very important with the events.
I love that, Erin. That's something that we do. I love how you use the Google form. So I've invited people and said, who do you know that might like this event or that should know me because they're thinking about real estate? And I have people that just show up and go, hey, we're buying this year. So-and-so told me. However, I'm so distracted at an event. It's hard. So I love how you take it that very professional step forward. And you just got their permission to be in their database. They gave you their information. And so I just love how professional it is. It's taking it to that next level. So smart.
And Patrice is the master of events. We should have a mastermind on that sometime. Yeah.
I'm writing that down. We're adding that to the class.
And then A+ gifts. So my A+, they give me either we're doing business that year or they've given me a couple of referrals every year. And they also, or it's like someone, if I really want a listing, I'll put them on my A+ list for gifts. I actually this week listed a property on Central Park South. It's beautiful, has open views over the park. It's stunningly gorgeous. I got that listing, I swear, because I gave this guy a pie for Thanksgiving this year. And I was like, afterwards, like, how was the pie? How's the apartment? We should talk about it. He's like, you know what? I really like your marketing. We probably should. I've gotten that. I got a $5 million listing downtown because I gave someone a pie. And afterwards I followed up and he's like, actually, someone in my building is selling. You guys, gifts are so big. And I have to tell you something about these gifts. Don't overthink them. I give away pies for Thanksgiving. I had umbrellas made. We're going to give away umbrellas to get people prepared for the April showers of the spring selling season. And what I found is, especially in luxury, no one thinks to give them anything because these people can afford anything that they want. And I think my most grateful clients are people that are in the uber luxury world. Like this one guy, Sung, he has stunning penthouse triplex on Park Avenue. I can't. The first time I called him, and asked him if he wanted a pie, his response to me was, "Oh my God, Erin, no one has ever offered that to me." I was like, it's a pumpkin pie. Like, I'm not giving you anything like really exciting. I mean, they're delicious and handmade by Crystal in New Jersey. I love them, but it was nothing special. But that was his response. And then this year I called him about it and he was like, the pie, absolutely. Like, it's just amazing. It is such a wonderful way to give somebody something, but they're thinking about you. And they're also thinking about like, wow, you would do a pie? Like, what would you do to advertise my listing? You know, we did a little QR code on the pie. That was a really well done video of the team saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And literally just countless business from that, just because you're coming from contribution with people and you're thinking about them and giving them something when you don't have to. And it's a reason to touch them and not say, oh, are you ready to sell today? All right, there's a lot in the chat. The umbrellas have my logo. The umbrellas have my logo like this big on, they're black. I'm actually going to show you really quickly because I think it's important for you to notice this.
I love that. And I love the idea of just giving them something. Again, we talk about coming from contribution. And so you can choose to do anything that you want. Ooh, what a cute umbrella.
So I'm very fortunate to have some friends that are very high up in the hotel industry, and they are my inspiration for all of my gifts because they had to wine and dine top people, et cetera, yada, yada. So the umbrella was their idea. So it's a really nice umbrella. It cost me, I think it's like $16 per umbrella, because if you haven't been to New York, and it might be like some other areas, but the wind tunnels here between the buildings. And I feel like you break an umbrella and you just buy these $5 crap pieces all the time and they break, and then you just buy a new one and they break. So like good umbrellas are very exciting here. So this is actually the inside of the umbrella. So, and I don't believe in bad luck. I believe this is good luck. So this is the outside. And the outside has my logo in one spot, and that's it. And it's pretty small if you look at the entire umbrella. But then from the outside, people can kind of see this underneath.
It's so cute.
And it's really cute, and people love them. And because they're so plain and simple, and I would even go so far as to call them elegant, that's what you want. You don't want something that is, when you're doing gifts, you don't want something that's covered in your logo. You want something that makes people feel really cool, so they use it. That goes so much further than covering it with logo.
You can be Mary Poppins on the beach.
I love that. And Erin, so Erin, you guys does a lot of Instagram. And so we're going to have someone translate everyone. I put our Google Docs in there, and I put our Instagram in there. So Erin, would you share some of that on your Instagram later? Because I think that would be great for everyone to see a little bit more deeper. And then of course, again, sign up because we'll get one. I know this is so cool. So, and then we'll have someone kind of translate. So Adelaide, will you share? I know there was a lot in there, some of those major points that we can make sure that people are getting to. So that before Erin moves to the next section and ask questions, of
people
course.
have questions in about what that all was.
I just need a couple of minutes just to plug my computer because I'm out of battery at the moment. So I'm coming right back. If Rodolphe can translate, that would be great.
Rodolphe, will you take over? You speak English beautifully. French, you speak in French.
Si je dois 30. Ah ouais, ben en fait, le but, c'est d'offrir des cadeaux parce qu'il faut absolument laisser quelque chose aux gens pour faire la différence. Et là, en l'occurrence, bah, ce qu'elle fait, c'est qu'elle paye c'est $16 par parapluie, qui est logoté à son nom. Alors, j'ai vu Eric, quand vous voulez un, il va y avoir des frais de port qui vont être plus chers que le parapluie, mais c'est des super cadeaux. Là, justement, moi, dans la team, je suis en train de regarder. Ouais, c'est 17, il avait dit 16, ouais, ok. Et c'est pas cher du tout. Logoté au nom. En plus, tous les gens qui se baladent, évidemment, ils vont être vecteurs de communication. Et en plus, c'est un cadeau qui reste. On est en train de regarder, nous, pour faire effectivement un cadeau comme ça, qu'on laisse avec notre carte de visite, un truc qu'ils vont pouvoir utiliser sur la forme d'un porte-clés, parce que je pense que ça peut être sympa, à l'image de la capitale. Donc, je pense que ça va être une petite tour Eiffel. On va aller piquer ça aux mecs qui vendent ça. En plus, ils font pas beaucoup de ventes en ce moment. Mais voilà, il faut trouver une idée qui puisse être vecteur de votre communication, qui ne coûte pas cher et qui puisse rester dans la tête des gens et qui vont travailler, ça va travailler à votre place, quoi. Il n'y a pas besoin de dépenser en plus des milliers et des cents pour faire un super cadeau qui va rester dans la tête des gens et qui va en plus communiquer pour vous et qui va faire votre promotion.
I just asked.
Ouais. Moi, ce que j'ai retenu surtout, c'est que ça ne servait pas forcément à grand-chose d'avoir forcément le logo, de se mettre en avant. C'est plutôt l'attention et la qualité du cadeau qui va jouer en notre faveur.
Bien sûr, c'est vraiment de rester dans la tête des gens. Après, s'il y a un petit truc avec le logo où les gens se disent, en plus c'est joli, ils se disent, tiens, c'est qui si tu arrives à le caler, c'est pas mal non plus, quoi.
Ça peut être pas mal.
Yeah, Erin, I love the umbrellas.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll let you guys know as soon as she gets back to me on who we ordered them from. But and their customer service is really good as well. Good to go?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. So this is really the last big thing. So it's how to categorize and tag your listings according to me, which, you know, just take it for what it's worth. Okay, so you can see my bajillion tabs here. All right, so here is how I categorize and tag my listings. And I'm going to, before I forget, I'm going to put a link in there to share this with you so that you can all have it right now, because why not? I lied. I don't know where the chat is, but I will do that at some point. Okay, so I believe that tagging your database is extremely important for a few reasons, right? So number one, this is how I can easily pull who my A-listers are. This means when I get to pie season, I'm not sitting there saying, oh my gosh, who do I want to give a pie to? Do I have it written down who came last year? Do I blah, blah, blah? No, I just have a tag for pie. So everybody that has a pie stays on the pie list unless they don't give me referrals. And I'll tell you, it's actually funny because I had somebody this year call me and she was like, oh, Erin, I don't think I got your call about a pie. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm sure you sent over a referral, so your name went into the list. It must have just been our mistake. I'll make sure that they know. And she was like, oh, I don't think I sent you one. I was like, oh, that's okay. I figured it was just our mistake. Anyways, so tag them because it's easier just to pull them up. If they're on your event list, tag them so it's easy to pull them up. Agents, you can pull them if you want to do a blast to agents. Haven't mets, I do like to tag people as a haven't met because then I know, okay, I need to get more information from them. If they're KW agents, right, they're going to be pulled because they're probably going to get a very specific newsletter or mailer different from non-KW agents that I might be looking at to come to KW, etc. Now, the tags, of course, as I said, the last name or the first letter of their last name I tag so that I can easily pull them for my D2, T2, whatever. But I also tag them by something that I think is so important that so many agents miss out on. So I tag people by how I met them, especially like if it's an open house, because I get to say, like, for instance, here, this is an apartment at a building. So I'm going to tag them 69 Fifth Avenue because that's the building that they came to. And I'm going to tag them with 4D, 5D. I'm also going to end up tagging them. So that one, for instance, was a 1-bedroom. So they're going to get tagged by the size. They're tagged by everything from what they came to. If they inquired about a building, they're going to get the same tags. They're going to get the address of the building they inquired about, the unit number that they inquired about, and the size. And now here's why this is valuable. Because now, this just happened. I went to a property that is on West 12th Street. It's a 1-bedroom and it is in the area where we have had a lot of business in the past. And I was able to do a search of everybody that just came to those buildings. And it was something like 97, something like that. So when I was at my appointment, I went to that seller and I said, hey, Mr. Seller, I actually tag everyone that has come to past open houses or shown interest in purchasing a unit in my database. I have 95 people that I will call the minute I have the contract signed to ask if they're still on the market and interested in your unit. Like, that's valuable. And we did that, and we are we are in a faster paced market, but we actually went into multiple bids on this property. And some of these people came from those past calls, because not everybody can buy a unit. Not everybody is going to buy when they're looking. So tagging people by the size, by the building is just so important. Or for you guys, it might be more of the neighborhood. It's such a—
I was going to say, I think they have a lot of apartments there too. I remember Rodolphe talked about that. So I think that should also be really translated, because that is such an important way to get future business and to leverage the KW network, right? When you know someone is selling in that neighborhood, if you have that person in your database, you really can take advantage and say someone in our office has. So Rodolphe, I think you should definitely share that if you don't mind, Erin. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
Rodolphe, would you share that in French so that she could, so that everyone understands that at a high level?
Yeah, sorry, I had to take a call, but
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
Well, or someone, because what Erin was saying was that they should tag for the building. And remember, you talked about that before, where you have multiple units in a certain building. And then when the next listing comes, you call around.
I'll take care of it, don't worry. En fait, là, ce qui est hyper important dans la façon de gérer sa base de données d'Erin, c'est que tous ses contacts ont énormément de tags qui lui permettent de travailler constamment sa base de données. Donc, par exemple, une personne qu'elle va rencontrer par rapport au secteur où elle habite, par rapport au nombre de chambres, au nombre de salles de bain, elle va mettre un maximum de détails de manière à pouvoir vraiment qualifier sa base de données. Et bien, quand elle a une recherche, elle va pouvoir aussi, quelque part, entrer en relation avec ces personnes-là. Peut-être qu'ils ont des informations de leur côté aussi. Et en fait, elle fait vraiment un travail de fou sur sa base de données qui est lié à ces tags, de manière à ne perdre personne et à ne perdre aucun lead, quel qu'il soit.
Adé, tu m'entends?
Ouais.
Ouais, moi j'ai une question. On regardait la campagne. Est-ce que Erin fait des campagnes Facebook immeuble par immeuble? Moi, ça m'intéresse parce que quand on fait nos îlotages, ça va être top.
Okay, so Erin, the question from Florian is
Facebook campaigns.
Yeah, Facebook campaigns. Do you, for instance, if you're looking for something in a single building, can you target this building only, or do you have a broader target?
With the Facebook campaigns, so you can't minimize it enough, unfortunately. Yeah, I wish you could.
Ça répond, c'est bon pour toi, Flo?
Ouais.
Voilà, c'est 25 km, je crois, le minimum sur les campagnes via commande.
Ok, mais
la question de Florian, c'était plus de savoir si dans les campagnes…
Quand tu as un fichier de base.
Ouais, le fichier de base, on va pouvoir l'attaquer et envoyer des campagnes, mais plus dans les smart planes, en disant je veux cibler plusieurs adresses et peut-être, mais ça en fait tu vas le faire sur un îlot peut-être, et c'est à toi de taguer. Dans les tags, il va falloir que tu mettes des îlots. Et ça, à ce moment-là, tu vas pouvoir dire bah tiens, cet îlot-là, je l'ai rentré, je vais envoyer une campagne, ou je vais pouvoir envoyer un email seulement à ces tags-là, en disant je veux relancer absolument ce truc-là parce que je viens de rentrer un bien. Et ça, tu vas pouvoir effectivement cibler, bien sûr.
Ou sinon, tu parlais aussi des campagnes ciblées sur ta base de données et non pas ciblées géographiquement. C'est ça que tu veux dire?
Ouais, là, de toute façon, sur Facebook, de toute façon, comme disait Adélaïde, c'est 25 bornes, il n'y a pas le choix.
Mais apparemment, en fait, les campagnes, tu peux aussi les faire sur ta base de données. Donc, si ta base de données est suffisamment qualifiée, peut-être que tu peux utiliser tes tags, mais pour ça, il faut quand même avoir une base hyper importante, quoi. Parce que quelque part, mettre $10 sur 10 jours de campagne pour toucher 10 personnes, c'est pas forcément hyper probant.
Non.
Donc, tout dépend de la taille de la base de données, je pense.
Ouais.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, that's perfect. Yes. So that to me is one of the most important things in regards to tags, just because we have to remember, right? The database is our data bank, right? But how powerful so remember how I brought up the open houses, how everybody's a winner? Yeah. So everybody that I go and deliver those, the gift cards to, when I go and deliver those gift cards, I'm learning, is it a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? I know what building they're in. And also I know if they're a potential future seller for the right price. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm tagging them as those things. So I'm tagging them as, you know, future seller, what their address is and the size of their unit, or maybe even their neighborhood, so that when I'm on the phone, it's so easy when I'm talking to someone, not in, well, we can reverse this, but in today's market, right? If I'm talking to a buyer and they're like, oh, well, I actually looked at all the 2-bedroom condos in Chelsea. I'll be like, oh, well, you know what? Search my tags. I actually have, you know, 15 2-bedroom sellers in Chelsea that aren't on the market. Should I call them on your behalf and see if they might be interested in showing and selling, right? Like that's how we get to go above and beyond and actually make deals happen, not just be passive and seeing stuff that's on the market, right? It's just another way that we can work to get a deal done.
And again, it's creating a new opportunity, you guys. It's really taking a buyer and then you get to call that seller, every seller, and say, I have a buyer who wants your house. That's a much better conversation than, hey, do you want to sell, right? Nobody cares about that, but she's really coming from the heart. She couldn't do that even if she wanted to, if she did not have this data. This information is so valuable.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, so I also tag everybody, like if they're a building owner or a landlord, we had some rules change last year with rent stabilization. The first thing I did was call every single person and, hey, are you aware of the new laws? And are you aware of what this is going to do to the value of your building? Right. And so many people were like, can you send me information, blah, blah, blah. But now we've been able to maintain and have conversations, and a couple of them are actually going to be selling. So it's just, it's good. Good organization. I don't organize my home, but I organize my database. Okay. The last thing that I really want to talk about is your source. Source is so important because this is where you spend your money, right? So I obviously spend money on my open houses. Not only do I have raffles that I put money into, but I also have, it kind of goes with the demographic of the house, right? If it's a family house, I'll have little cupcakes. If it's more of a fun house, I always have like mimosas, something. So the open houses, I'm always offering something because I want people to stick around. Again, COVID's a little bit different, but I remember when COVID happened, I was like, I guess I need to get individually wrapped snacks moving forward. So no more meat and cheese plates for me. And then, online pay-per-click, if it came from there, if they were just organic from online, if they came from a direct mailer, a lot of people spend a lot of money on postcards, right? Sending them out. And I tracked that for a bit. I wasn't getting anything. Then I found that when I have letters written out and I pay someone to come in and hand addressed it, we actually get a really good rate of return. We get great responses to our handwritten letters, just hand addressed. So
you're saying the letter inside is typed, but if you at least do the outside where it's with your hand or it looks like it's with your hand, people will respond better. You guys, this is so important, right? If you're going to spend the money, do the steps that make a difference.
But that's the thing, is you don't know what makes a difference unless you track your source. So everyone in the database has a source, right? If they came from an advertisement, door knocking, network, that's why my sphere of influence, their name is in there as soon as they start referring me. I have one woman who is a food critic. I sent her to the most amazing restaurants. I don't care if that meal is $1,000. She sends me business. Like, these are the people you take care of, but you don't know who to take care of unless you're tracking the source. You also don't know what to cut from your spending unless you're tracking the source, nor do you know what to double down on unless you're tracking the source. So source is very important. And there's of course a lot more, but this was just the examples that I
love that, Erin. And that's not something that I've done a great job either, is really paying attention, because if you're spending that money, remember the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book says you should be spending 10% on marketing, right? If you're spending 10% on the wrong places, then you're making a wrong decision. When you say this isn't working, it's because you're not paying attention. you have to keep adapting and changing those things based on your business. And what works in New York may not work in Paris, which may not work in California. So it's great to start with what Erin's doing or what I'm saying or what your market center, but you need to test your own clients. So you need to pay attention to what she's saying. So I just love that. Thank you, Erin. And obviously we definitely want to make sure that everyone's translating as soon as you're finished with that section. Sorry.
No worries. Well, and I also have a feeling if people have questions or they can't understand something, you know, please do ask.
Definitely, definitely. So is that the last of that section? Do we want to have someone translate and ask if there are any questions for Erin? Because you guys, this is gold. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book condensed into a class. Gold, Jerry.
Vous avez une question? Pour moi? Oui? No?
Does someone want to? Oh, go ahead. Does someone want to ask questions? And then obviously we want someone to make sure that everyone in French understands this in French too, if they've missed something.
Yeah, Erin, did you, you know, we went to Keller Williams one year ago, maybe more. Was it September last year, 2019? And I already had a database. I had no tag, only a few information on everyone. But I have to do it now, but it's very, very, very long to do. But I have to do it because it's more business anyway. So maybe do you have any tip to do it fast, or did you manage to have this kind of situation? You have already a database and you have to check everybody. Did you do it?
You're not gonna like my answer.
One after another? Or?
Yeah, honestly though, there's just no fast way to do it. I wiped my database and I just went through and started calling everybody individually. And it was not my favorite moment in time, but it is paid for itself in the time 100 times.
Yeah, but that's a good reason to call them back and to keep contact.
You know, it's one of those things that it's not easy, but it's worth it, right? It's truly, truly worth it is the trick. It's like if there's a value, then it's worth doing it. There are lots of difficult things, and it's one of those things that you probably have to time block for it, right? You need a partner to be accountable. You need to do that SMART plan where you're saying, I'm going to do this by, and really create a plan. Everyone should go to their calendar right now and book an hour so that they can then plan out a routine for this and really take this professionally, because it is not going to be easy. You're going to use every excuse in the book, and yet you have to do it. It's the most important thing to do. This is a business. This isn't just selling houses. If you're building a business, this is where you house everything, right?
Erin, just a quick question, please. Hi. As I said, I've just been in Keller Williams for about 6 months now. And obviously I've been applying the Keller Williams approach, and it's starting to pay some fruit. But and I'm also quite big on the database, quite simply because I've got a memory like a goldfish. So the database for me is really important, and it's something that I'm constantly trying to develop just to make my life easier. You've obviously got it down to a T now, but can you just, because we're only really just started following this model, Keller Williams, how long did it take you to get to a point where it was, you mentioned then that you're starting to get people coming back to you a couple of times a week. Can you tell me how long it's taken to get to that stage?
Yeah, it took some time. So now I would say I've had the database up and running at a moderate to moderate high level for 5-ish years. However, I definitely had some pauses in there. I think until I really started seeing the fruits of some labor, it was like 1.5 years before I started really getting people to be like, oh, I'm seeing you all the time. Oh, They knew my name and my number when I started doing the quarterly calls. I would get responses to the newsletter. I would say it was probably about a year and a half of like solidly working it, that then I just started getting more and more. Now is I get more just calls, just people like, oh, hey, Erin, I'm ready. Hey, I want to see this. Hey, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's not a quick thing, but it's so worth it.
And remember, again, I go back to the MREA. It says that you need to touch them 36 times a year over a 2-year period. So, she's better than average, but I think we shouldn't be surprised that you don't know if people say this is not a good lead. You don't know if someone's a good lead until you have touched them 72 times over a 2-year period. At that point, then you can decide. That's when you expect to get business, is because you have to build up that trust in that relationship and break down those walls, right?
Yeah.
To reach those 72 times, do you organize campaigns sending text messages or WhatsApp messages? Do you use that, or just Facebook? Well, that's a lot of work, but Facebook newsletters and all. Do you add also text messages and WhatsApp?
Yeah, so my basic way of touching someone is they have 4 individual touches a year, which would be the quarterly touches. But some people prefer WhatsApp, some people prefer text, some people prefer email, some people prefer phone. So I'll contact them in whatever way they prefer to be contacted. And then they get the newsletter every other week. And then I actually don't send out newsletters on holidays. Unless we're like sending out the newsletter on the holiday, because I'm like, everybody's touching them in the holidays. So maybe like, I think on Sunday we sent out something before Thanksgiving. I was like, hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving week. But I try to do it when they're not getting bombarded with everybody else. So it's the every other week newsletter that they get and the 4 personal individual touches.
But regarding text messages or WhatsApp, for instance, do you do it individually, or can you do it in bulk, if I could say, using command?
So I actually am going to start doing that. I made a deal with my team. Once we get the last 200 people off of Infusionsoft, we'll start with BombBomb. So Patrice does that at a high level. I'm still working on that because she does that group. And I got to tell you, I think it's probably one of the #1 things to do. And I cannot wait for this incentive to be met so that we can get going with BombBomb.
By the way, that was a question from Florian. I was just translating.
Oh, thank you. Merci.
And you guys, and these are, again, we have some more questions in there asking that. So #1, there are different levels that you could share. You want to be different, right? You don't want to have the same thing as someone else. But partly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They only need to know that you care about them, right? It doesn't matter. You will not find the perfect message for everybody. You just have to do it, right? You will get better with time, right? And you'll get more into your thing. And there are so many great ideas. And Erin, I'll bet that you can, again, that would be another something to share on the Instagram, or to send, if someone sends out to the Google, we could do a little blog about that. So you can definitely get specialized. But first of all, just get started. Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And in regards to the newsletter, so I always have a property in the newsletter, and most of the time it's not in New York City. Most of the time I have it somewhere, and then we'll also feature one of ours. But then I feel like, so I give them a market update every week, because in New York City, we don't have really good data. So this group called Urban Digs, they put all the data together. So I post their video on there. Great. Anybody that wants the data of what's happening, you can click there and see it. But then I post things that I like, because I'm like, people like to work with people that are like them. So I posted I didn't do this, I'm sorry, my admin did. I shouldn't take credit for her work, but posted something. It was like this really cool light installation that's going on in Chelsea. I'm like, that seems really fun. And then there was like the largest wine bar is now open in New York. I enjoy wine. So, we posted things like that. And I think we really only have 4 to 5 things in each newsletter. And then my video saying this is what's below, and that's it. So again, I just pick things that are really interesting to me. Yeah. And just do it, like Patrice said.
Yeah, I love that. And Rodolphe, do you want to add anything, or does anyone want to share anything? Does anyone have any other questions I know we went a little longer because we had to pause for some translating, but I think this is so important, you guys. And by the way, we are going to be doing this class again and again at different market centers. So next month, we're going to be in New Jersey, and that'll be our morning class. So everyone is welcome to come again. We're going to be doing it in Louisiana in the afternoon. Later today, we'll be in New York City. And then if you like this, we certainly can go to different market centers in France as well. So we're just so grateful for you to come. This is really important. And whether you're learning it from Erin and me or someone else, you should go to this class again and again and again. And each time you just make it a little bit better, right? A little bit better, and you're going to have a really big business someday. This is so important.
It was not a class, it was a master class.
Quoi? Excuse-moi, Florian.
It was a master class, not a class.
Oh, I'm so glad. Great. Erin's the best. Isn't this amazing? Thank you so much. Yeah.
Anyway, I want you to add just something. We can use many ways to contact people, but the only thing is you have to do it with your heart and use the best way to do it, the way you love it, because that's the best way.
Totally. And I think about it this way, you know, building the database, again, it takes time to do it properly, but now that means the people I'm working with are people I want to work with. It's not me just like on the phone for sale by owners, people I want to like bust my head into the wall with because I need the business. It's like, oh, people that I've actually had really good conversations that I've gotten to know that I like I get to work with you. Okay.
That's so important, right? It's that life by design. And she's building her business around her life instead of having to be a different person and chasing people around. Again, you're attracting, right? You're attracting your tribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why you have to do the database, which is, again, it's like, it's not always fun to enter the stuff in the database. It doesn't always feel like you're being productive, and it really is, right? This is the most important thing, you guys. I love this. Erin, you are so good at this class, right? Isn't she just amazing?
Thanks, you guys. Thank you all for being here. Please do let me know in the future if you have any questions. As you can see, I'm extremely passionate about this.
Oh, yeah. We have another question.
Can I ask you something? Not sure if you know, but let's say if you join a group on Facebook, you're part of a group, and you want to target that group, each one of them, and the goal is for when you do your campaign on command to touch all these people. Is that possible?
No, unless they are all in your database. So there is something that you can hit to target only people in your database. So if you have them all in there, then you can, but it's going to go for everybody that's in your database. I would use back-end ways to promote yourself. I'll give you an example. So like if you have, because a lot of groups don't like you to talk about yourself and what you do, right? So you can go to a group and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I just helped my seller sell too quickly. Does anybody want a fridge? Because he has to get rid of his old fridge because he's having a new one installed next week. Reach out to me.
Oh, okay. More in this way.
Yeah.
It's free go.
Backhanded way of promoting yourself. You don't even have to have.
And Erin, are you on Clubhouse?
No, because I don't have an iPhone.
Oh, okay.
But we are going to get, she's going to have to get an iPhone because we are doing our Red Talks and we are going to start promoting our podcast. So she's going to have two phones now. She doesn't even know yet.
At its worst.
I know.
iPhone and Android, it's a big problem for me.
It was hard for me to switch last year. I was Android, but sometimes they hold us hostage. But we will get onto Clubhouse for sure. And yeah, right? I'm giving her my mean face. You guys, please this is our last class with you, which is going to be so sad. I'm so grateful that you guys invited us. So Rodolphe and Natalie, I hope that you'll invite us back again. So we have a for sale by owner class that we're working on. We have an inspired into action class. We're going to work on an events class, which we don't have yet, and a negotiation class. And anything that you want. We definitely love being a part of your market centers and a part of your lives and businesses. Of course, if you have someone in the San Francisco or California area, reach out to me. In New York, reach out to Erin. And honestly, anywhere in the country, if you have someone that you know that's moving, call one of us and we'll put you in touch with the right people, because obviously we love teaching and we love selling houses. So if there's anything that you need, please reach out to us directly, because we're always very, very approachable. And then for those of you from other market centers, tell your people to reach out to us, because we would love to come in. And Erin and I are both learning French, but very slowly.
Oui.
Merci.
Thanks,
Au
guys.
revoir.
Au revoir.
Merci.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for sharing. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Adelaide and Rodolph,
you.
thank you for translating as well. Thank you for the questions, Chris. And
Always welcome.
I see Cho. What's your name? Is your name Cho?
Cho is okay. Yeah, it's quite difficult name. So
Okay.